This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, to episode number 117 of the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. Today we have good neighbor Keith Chazin from the Appliance Doctor. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, excited to learn a little bit more about you and what you do over there at the Appliance Doctor. So why don't we just start off by sharing what you actually do there?
So basically have a major appliance repair, service and repair company. Major appliances being like household, refrigerators, washers, dryers, ovens, dishwashers. Been doing it for about 30 years, started in 94. And from Marco to Cape Coral. And basically just service and repair. We don't sell parts, but we go in-home service and service and, repair major appliances.
Making sure everything's working properly. There we go. So how did you get started in this industry? It's not something everybody chooses every day.
Yeah, actually went to school for HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and was back in New Jersey back in the late 80s, and went to work for an AC company, just, small little guy, and just was doing that. Then it got cold. And they wanted me to clean like oil heaters and that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not for me. I'm not doing that. And then just went back to school, had a great job placement. I was Lincoln Tech back in Pensacola, New Jersey. I don't even know if they're even around anymore. But then they gave me a referral for an appliance repair company. It was a company that did all the Whirlpool warranty. And I was like, I don't know much about appliances, but I mean, I can do the fridges and that kind of stuff. And ended up just taking the job. And I was probably 20, 21 years old and learned on the job really quick because they had a couple of guys retired and one guy got hurt. So they sent me out on the road, basically not knowing much.
Right. Just get up there and do it, right?
Other than the refrigeration, I did refrigerators and air conditionings and that kind of stuff, freezers. So learned the job on the road, on the way, and never thought I'd stick with it. But one thing led to another and stayed with it. And then ended up moving down to Florida in 93. And that's how I started the business down here.
Nice. It's funny how life takes you on different paths. And then you were thinking and you kind of follow along. I mean, that's a challenge in itself. So let's talk about challenges or obstacles as far as, your career is, starting your own business, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, moving down here by myself, it was, kind of a bold move. I was probably 25, I think 26, and just got up and left. I had a friend living in Naples. So I visited once and, I wasn't 100% sure, but just did the move. It was a snowstorm in 93, and that was it.
Wow, that did it to you.
That did it. I spun out, cracked my rim on my Corvette, and that was it. I was on the auto train a week later. I tell people the story. It's kind of funny because that was pretty much that gave me the gumption.
Right. I'm about your age too. So my joke was always that I grew up in Wisconsin, that I was going to tie a snow tire to my hood of my car and drive as far south until somebody asked me what it was.
Yeah. So it was a small little spot. After I got out of the car with the broken rim, there was a light pole probably about 50 feet, 60 feet away. I made a snowball and I said to myself, if I hit this light pole on the first shot, I'm gone. And I did. I hit it dead center. And that was it. I was on the auto train a week later. And you want to talk about packing up a Corvette with basically all your belongings, which wasn't a lot, but it still was you couldn't see out the back. But so then I did some work down here for subcontracted for about a year until I could get some ads out. Of course, back then was Yellow Pages. There wasn't internet, and then things just rolled on slowly. It was a challenge of getting started. Like you said, it was tough, but once I got going, then I started doing more areas. I took over Lee County after that, hired a couple people. And back then it was a little easier, I think, to build your business with the Yellow Pages. Because once you got a placement, you got a placement.
Yep.
there was no other form of advertising, and so it worked. I built my business on them. Nowadays, not so much, because anybody can put an ad out on the internet, and depending on how much you spend, you're top dog.
Yep, exactly. It's tough. It's tough. So, getting back to the industry as far as appliance repair is concerned, are there any maybe myths or misconceptions when talking about the industry?
I wouldn't say there's myths. I mean, it's a whole different. Nowadays, you don't have things that last 20 years. Okay.
Right.
You had your appliances 20, 25 years. It's a whole different market now. I mean, the stuff that's out there with all the electronics and all the bells and whistles, and there's just more stuff to go bad. And things do go bad, and things don't last that long. So it's a good and bad thing, because, I'm working probably, a little more on the newer stuff that I would like to, but then you got the customers that this is only 2-3 years old. Why did it break already? I'm just the middle guy, but I wouldn't say that's, I think, the one thing that people, especially down here in Southwest Florida, with, they were used to having things last for 20 years, 25 years. And now they got all this stuff over the last 10 years. And things it's like everything, it's just not built the way it is.
It doesn't last. And, and back in the day, you could, do the old Fonzie or take a wrench to it, now you open something up and you're like, what is all this stuff? I mean, even working on a car.
And the cost of fixing things, right? Nowadays, it's all electronic. So you got a computer board that's, pricey. And that usually is what goes wrong with a lot of stuff.
Yep, absolutely. So do you see any, I would say, trends within the industry? But obviously you mentioned that you're working on a lot more newer types of appliances than before.
It's definitely become cyclical. I think, like a lot of the appliances, which has kind of hurt my business a little bit, because I think after 20, 25 years, these things, even if they didn't break, people don't want to put money into it.
Right.
So they're buying all new.
Yeah.
I think COVID had a lot to do too. People sat home for 2 years. They didn't go anywhere. They didn't spend any money. So they decided to just, let's redo our whole place. Let's get all new appliances and can redo their kitchens. And it's definitely hit my business since COVID. Things have changed as far as, business has slowed in a lot of areas. And then the hurricanes didn't help. People had to replace their stuff. But it's a tough market. And then you have a lot of the different brands out now that are, Samsungs, the LGs, they've had issues with major problems. GE is not GE anymore. They got bought out by Haier, which is a Chinese company, and people don't realize it. They think they're buying their, 60, 70-year-old good GE appliances. They're not. And, that's a tough part of the market,
It is.
Dealing with all the new brands and stuff.
Yeah, and learning that and understanding that. I mean, going back to the days, Maytag, what was the joke? The Maytag repairman just sat and didn't do anything because their stuff never broke down.
Well, yes and no, but yes, the older
it did break down, right?
Yeah, now Whirlpool owned Maytag, and then when I did the warranty work back in the late '80s, I mean, we started doing Maytag. That's when they took over. Yeah. And you're right, they're old machines. Unbelievable, like 30, 40 years, and they would last.
And now they're almost replaceable now, or disposable per se.
Yeah.
So outside of work, I know you work a lot of hours. Owning your business is very demanding. What do you enjoy doing outside of work?
Oh, just going out with the friends a couple of days a week. I make sure we go out, 2-3 days. Friends, go out, dinner, couple drinks. As far as other than that, cruises. We live so close to Miami. I've been here 30 years. We used to take the family, my kids, my ex-wife. We used to go on cruises all the time because it was just so convenient. I always thought it was just the best bang for your buck. And now I go with, I got a cousin who lives in Miami. So, we'll do some cruising down there. And then, some other things. Just, I quit golf. I don't do that anymore. I used to do golf for a while, played forever, 15, 16 years, but didn't start until I got basically in my 40s.
Right.
And then now it's at the point where no, I have to wait till I'm retired to play golf.
Right. I've got better things to do with my time.
You have to put time into that. It's like,
Yes.
you play weekend warrior, no, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, you got to play enough to be consistent and be good enough. Yep, absolutely.
Exactly.
So is there one thing that you wish our listeners knew about Appliance Doctor that maybe they don't know?
I think my one thing I strive is just fair and honest. Like there's so many, I would call them criminals out there because I hear the stories. My whole model, and it's been that way for 30 years, is I want to be treated the way if someone came to my house. I mean, that's how I treat my customers. I give them a 2-hour window. We're there. If not, we call. The problem with people, you hear it all the time. Oh, they're supposed to be here, 9 to 11. They never showed, or they never called. They never showed. And just as far as on time, we give you time, we stick to it. I think we're fair as far as pricing. We don't gouge. I've heard a lot of horror stories, companies that are new to the area, they gouge and then they never show back up, and again, that's part of the internet.
Yep.
Anybody can put an ad out there. People go, they call them, and next thing you know, they got a bad situation. So I would say the one thing I would say is fair, honest, and, on time.
Perfect. And
I think after 30 years, I'm still in business. So
doing something right.
Yeah, that's what I would.
There we go. If our listeners wanted to get a hold of you, if they had something that needed repaired or they had questions, how would they go about contacting you?
Well, I have like 7 different phone numbers because when I started, there were no cell phones. Yes, showing my age again.
All right.
Website is sickappliances with an s.com. Always go there, or could just Google search Appliance Doctor. I usually pop up, when a quick search like that. My main number, if you want me to throw out a number, is of course 239-992-0505. There are many other numbers, like I said, for different areas. Back in the day, you had to have a number for each area.
Yeah. What area code? What was that? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you couldn't call Marco when you were living in Bonita or Fort Myers. You had to put the area code in.
Exactly. Right. Well, Keith, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and I hope to see you out in the community here soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com or call 239-296-2621.